It was Studio T. Wells coming at you again with another video here. I want to talk about what I'm calling the PayPal paradox. This is the big story of the week here. I think it's going to go down as one of the biggest stories, in crypto history. When we look back on this, I think that its consequences are pretty far-reaching, and I think therefore it really does cut to it cuts to the central paradox of cryptocurrency and the community around it in its essence. And so I want to talk about that today, and then get into a little more sort of practical notes on what is available on the PayPal platform right now, what's coming down the pike, and what it means for projects currently in the crypto space. So ultimately, I think, as I said, PayPal really is paradoxical because it pits the ideological end of things with the pragmatic side of people in the crypto space. What do I mean by that? Well, ideologically speaking, people in the crypto space, many people, including myself, were brought to crypto based on the promises of decentralization and what that meant. It's fascinating intellectually, right? And I think at the same time, crypto came of age at a time when a lot of people just wanted to give the financial sector and centralized finance the fat finger because they've just been screwing people for so long. On the heels of the financial crisis back at the end of the last decade, right? Still, Mad Dog Bush the Younger over to Obama, right? It seems like forever ago now, but cryptocurrencies are rooted in that historical experience, right? So coming out of that, there is the ideological part of crypto that endures, that we want it to be something that is untethered from the financial system, that enables you to have sovereign assets, right, in your possession, all of that. That's the ideological side. Pragmatic side is pay me, right? Like, let's make money, because there's money to be made in crypto. A lot of people might care about the tech or the ideology, but at the end of the day, I think we're all being honest. People also come and stay for the money, right? Now, these two things are, in this case, I think they're conflictual, right? I think PayPal sort of sits at the nexus here, and that is because, on one hand, the pragmatic side of people in the crypto community wanting to make money is inextricably linked from mass adoption, right? The only way to maintain a certain degree of the ideological component, meaning decentralization, is that the price and the value of crypto assets, it moons, but on the basis of mass adoption. So it's still diffused into the population, and there are no gatekeepers, and. PayPal is essentially stepping into the line of progress here in some way, in some matter of speaking, and saying, we'll do the mass adoption for you here, right? Meaning, the upside's coming. Look at what's happened to BTC in the last 48 hours. Could correct, but it's definitely a huge bullish sign for the price of BTC. But does that come at the cost of centralizing the process of mass adoption? And in a hyperbolic sort of almost, tinfoil hat way, but nevertheless somewhat true, indoctrinating new crypto people in a way that is not in keeping with the roots of crypto itself, right? It's a paradox. It really is. Because on one hand, I think we make a lot of money. I've made a lot of money in the last 48 hours off of PayPal news. But to what extent is the ideological component of crypto facing an existential threat? I don't know. We'll see. Personally, I certainly think that, or I'm beginning to think that making serious money and seeing, crypto really take on serious institutional investors and platforms like PayPal and sort of a bridge to the mass adoption, it almost seems inevitable that this will include some form of greater centralization. maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I hope, in some ways, I hope I'm wrong. But this is kind of my conclusion after, ruminating on all this more recently at the end of the week here. So just a food for thought. Leave your comments below. What do you think? I mean, I am certainly not making an argument that this is absolutely the case, and in some ways I hope it's not. But, if you think that there's some way to maintain, decentralization while at the same time on-ramping to mass adoption in the age of PayPal and your Cash App and all the rest, then leave your comments below. I'd love to know what you think. I want to then talk for a couple minutes here about what is available for you. So like if you go on the PayPal app now, you'll find the ability to buy crypto and to sell it, and of course to hold, right? If you're new to crypto and you're watching this video, fantastic for you. Welcome. Subscribe if you like it, you want to get more. Hodling is actually a term in the crypto space, right? For hold on for dear life. Okay, it's a sort of a riff on holding, so you can buy and hold. I love how PayPal and their advertisements is really trying to delineate this as being three separate things. You can buy, hold, and sell. I mean, let's be real. You're either going to buy it and hold it, or you're going to buy it and say it's it for me, and you're going to sell it. So they're also promising that, there's going to be a plug-in, ostensibly, probably not universal. It'll be interesting. They'll probably do it in phases. I'm guessing. Maybe it will be universal. Maybe there'll be a moment where they flip the switch, and it's like all their millions of vendors online, e-commerce vendors, you're now able to spend your crypto, and I would say this is something I'm sort of excited more or less to see how it turns out, because I'm suspecting that this will entail significant fees. I mean, and obviously because you can already get payment gateways for crypto, but I tend to, it almost seems like PayPal's going to try to do this all on the inside as a way, again, to make money. So we'll see how this goes. The e-commerce purchases, I imagine, again, in my position now is it's got to involve some type of fees, significant fees, in order to execute these across the board. The big concern here relates a little bit back to what I was talking about earlier as far as centralization. To begin with, you are not going to be able to send any of the crypto that you buy on PayPal off of your PayPal account. Okay, so for, again, people who are new to crypto, it's kind of like, why would I want to do that? I'm buying it to see if I can make some money on its rise, whatever. Okay, well, again, this is directly stemming from what was mentioned earlier, which is essentially, as long as this is on the exchange, it's not technically yours, right? Because you don't control the keys, right? PayPal is what is referred to as a custodian, so they are managing the cryptocurrency. They are a centralized location, okay, that's managing it. You can't send it anywhere off of PayPal, all right? So you don't have a digital wallet, much like a actual physical wallet. If you use cash, you don't have a wallet. Okay, you can't send it any place else. You can't send it to your bank. Can't send it anywhere else. Frankly, I personally am not hyperbolic over this, because I think that Cash App did, if I'm not mistaken, the same thing. In other words, they began with buy and sell on the platform, and then subsequently added the ability to send it off the platform. But to begin with, they're on sort of butt-to-mouth tube here, is I guess to be expected. Last thing I want to do is just sort of pontificate, speculate a little bit about what might be coming down the road and what it means for the crypto space as far as PayPal is concerned. So their first big question is, I'm sure they've answered this to a large degree, but I guess the question that we have waiting to see what it is they're going to do is whether or not they're going to build it from the ground up, or whether they're going to acquire existing entities. And I think ultimately, if they decide to build from the ground up, this is going to involve poaching existing devs, probably from the crypto space. So that's something to be thinking about. But I personally tend to think they're going to go more with acquisitions. There's already discussion about the Coinbases, the BitGo, American-based regulated exchanges. So I think that's something to look out for. I mean, if I'm thinking about at least the user interface, and I know that's not all that goes into a decision like this, but the Coinbase app is almost just in keeping sort of PayPal, simple approach for the people. I mean, you can imagine if somebody gets onboarded to the PayPal system and they want to now sort of spread their wings and buy other types of crypto. Coinbase is a pretty nice segue. I'm just saying, I personally think that may be who they choose to go with. Who knows? I'm speculating here, okay? But this all should be, again, sort of go into our thinking of investing for the future. Again, not investing advice per se. I'm not giving you investing advice. This is educational purpose only, so you can make good decisions in the future. If you find it quite useful. Now going a little bit further out is the possibility. Again, they haven't said anything about this publicly. Who knows if it's on their roadmap or not. I just am thinking it's a potential revenue stream for PayPal is engaging eventually in some type of staking or lending platform. And in that case, you know, Crypto.com, Celsius Network, BlockFi, if we're talking about acquisitions, I think any of those three are either potential acquisitions, or if PayPal chooses to go this direction, are going to be, you know, shitting themselves. I don't know what else to say. Like you're at that point, you're either going to be acquired or you're going to be knocked out. So, again, I think Crypto.com, you know, I think it's in that space, but it's more likely to be the latter. Meaning, if PayPal, my opinion, if PayPal were to acquire either of those three, it's either Celsius or BlockFi in my mind, because you know, those two platforms are doing something specific simply very well, right? And they're not, you know, Crypto.com is sort of this I don't know, it's like a Swiss Army knife, but like shit's falling out, and like they're trying to like stuff other things back in there, and in the meantime like asking people, like, what do you think should go in this thing? Like, they're not going to be an innovator in the space, and they don't necessarily have to be. They're big as shit, and they got a lot of money. And so ultimately they could chug along, just sort of implementing things that people like along the way until PayPal arrives in that space. I mean, even if they're even getting to be like adjacent to Crypto.com, who knows, right? This is highly speculative, all right? Just my 2 cents here. That's my rundown for PayPal. You know, I'm most interested in knowing y'all's thoughts on particularly the paradoxical aspect of this. What should be done? You know, what do you see coming in the future? Leave your thoughts below. Subscribe, like, and we'll see you all in the next video. Y'all be safe and be well.